Hello everyone, and welcome back to the little corner of YouTube which goes under the name of Reggie's Corner. So, I am back with a fresh Let's Play of the special event Diablo, the Darkening of Tristram. And this special event is basically the first game, Diablo 1, put into the third game, Diablo 3, as a special dungeon which you can get to through Adventure Mode World 1, the Old Ruins of Tristram. And in order to play this, you have to have the DLC in order to get to the Adventure Mode. Aside from that, it's completely free and should be available through an update of the game. So this will be a short series of Let's Play videos, about 4, and they will be around the 30-minute mark. Just a small notification: I had previously posted one video starting this special event, but turns out that there was a special achievement for starting this thing afresh with a new character and finish it in one go. So I thought to myself, why not? Therefore, we will restart this Let's Play from scratch in this video and then continue through. If you don't want to see what I've already done once more, feel free to jump ahead 20 minutes and I will then have done everything that I have already posted in the first video, and you can just continue on from there. So, enough talking from me. Oh, Diablo 2 t-shirt just to celebrate the occasion. But enough talking and onwards to the game. As I said, fresh character, fresh start, and 30 minutes apiece until we slay the Dark Lord. If this sounds like something you would like to watch, feel free to join me, because now we start with the Sweet Crusade. So we are now creating the hero that we will use for the entire run of the Darkening of Tristram, and it will be a crusader because I thought that would be fitting when going on a small crusade like this. Also, I will have a seasonal hero to add a little flavor, and because this is Reggie's Corner after all, the name of this hero will be Regius, which is sort of Latin and Romanesque, I thought. So, here we go. So, to get to the Darkening of Tristram area, you have to be in Act 1. And you can see here that the old ruins have a extra icon next to it called the Darkening of Tristram. So, why did I create a brand new character for this run? Well, it's simple enough. Down here you can see achievements, and down here at the bottom there's an achievement called An Eerie Red Glow Blurs Your V, and I think that's Vision. And it is for Kill the Dark Lord in a solo game, starting with a level 1 character in the Darkening of Tristram event. And this one I thought it would be fun to get during this playthrough, so that's why I'm starting afresh. And go into the portal.
This cannot be opened yet.
And Deckard Cain have to excuse us because we have other stuff to listen to now. So these are basically the dead townspeople from the first game, and a bunch of cultists have obviously been here and done their grisly deed. And for me, this is such a travel down memory lane, having this like grainy layer on top of the graphics, and also only 8 dimensions to move the character in. And also, I mean, this isn't the first game in every sense of the word. It's more like they've used... so this is something. It's kind of like they've used the third game world and put a Diablo 1 grainy filter on top of it, and to great effect, I would say, because it really brings back sort of like the essence of the first game. And the music adds a lot of ambience and feeling as well. One of the things that I would have liked though is if they had added like an homage to the DLC from the first game, which you could open through this cemetery, but obviously that's not there now. And I'm guessing it would have been too big of a project to bring the entirety of the first game into this special event, which is kinda on the huge side, as it is, seeing as it features all of the 16 levels in some shape and form. And throughout this playthrough we will run into a lot of the classical bosses and mini-bosses. Maybe not in the exact same sense as like in the original game, but we will run into them nonetheless, so it'll be sort of like how it used to be, but a little bit of a new twist. And as a side note, in my experience, this new area is somewhat challenging for level 1 newly created character, because it feels like the enemies can take a little bit more damage, and they actually dish out a little bit more damage as well. So it's a fair challenge, and fair I would say because it's also like entertaining. You don't get frustrated, and it feels like a fair challenge, which is always a welcome one in my book. And to the extent possible, I will try to only use the assets that I get through natural leveling up. I will, if not really necessary, use the extra skill points that I have throughout like my other characters that I've used to play the basic game. So I will try to use what I get in this playthrough of this special event. Hopefully that will not be something that I live to regret. Some of the bosses might be very challenging. Hopefully the victories that I hope to get anyway will feel a little bit more sweet, having to have worked for them a bit more. Have I gotten anything that's better? Yeah, I actually have. And it also goes for equipment, sorry for munching on that word. I will try to use what I find. Hopefully we'll run into some decent stuff fairly soon, so that we can dish out a and I will also try to get most of the maps sorted out, because that's a good way to maximize the experience by killing as many of the enemies as possible. It's a massacre! How can it be a massacre when these guys are already dead once? Yeah. How come the skeletons can take such punishment? Like, old bones are super brittle, and we have this souped up guy in the prime of his life wielding swords and maces and clubs at them, and they still take a pounding before going down. How is that? Yes. The questions that pop up during a Diablo run. And even though, and as I also mentioned at the beginning of this video, even though I will play through this entire special event in one run, I will cut it up in smaller portions, just so that it won't tax your dear viewers' time too much. So I'll try to keep it to like continuing and ending where levels start, or maybe like before and after the boss and special events and such things. But we'll see how many videos it turns out to be. A run through this should take between 2 and 3 hours, I think. So maybe I will keep it like around the 30-minute mark. We'll see. Seven items crushed. Is that really something? Oh yeah. It's totally totally worth it slicing through a stone altar with your sword. Yeah, but before I cut myself off, is it really an impressive feat to slice through dead objects like that? Is that really something a crusader should brag about? I'll leave that as an open question. I won't be judgy. I will, however, take these 7 gold, because why not? Shield bash would probably have been even better if I actually hit a fair few enemies, which I didn't. A 38 kill. That is decent. So, Mr. Skeleton, why were you jabbing at nothing? We'll probably never find out the answer to that question, seeing as we killed him. But he was an evil skeleton, so he probably wouldn't have told us anyway. It's not often that you run into a friendly undead in Diablo, if ever. That's a fair-sized statue, and this one used to be as well. So let's see. Yes, the first level looks very clear to me, so we'll move on to the next one. Now we should probably use, well, not much to choose from there. Yeah, these are decent skills to have, so I won't change anything for now. Arcane dust, just what we needed. Or, well, you know. Just trying to keep positive, I guess. And as far as I can tell, a lot of the classic enemies from Diablo 1 will be present in one way or another in this special event list. So it won't just be the bosses, it will be regular enemies as well. And I think, without having 100% certainty, that there is also like an achievement for killing the unique normal enemies in the special event that we're playing through right now. So if you're like die-hard completionist, you'll probably have to go through more than one run through of the Darkening of Tristram to get everything done, because as I understood it, it's still randomized what you actually run into, aside from the majority of the bosses, which will always be present in one form, shape, or like special event. They'll be there. Not sure if they'll be there in like the exact same location every time, or if it's more like this guy will turn up in level 1, 2, or 3 and stuff like that. Oh, and here we have our first mini-boss. And who is it? It's Shadowbite. And I seem to remember that name from an earlier encounter. And he had some magic stuff, so we'll just take that off his hands. I mean, he won't need it anymore, so we're more or less doing him a favor. Even though we did him a disfavor by killing him, I suppose. So, you know, he probably won't send us a thank you note. New sword and some magic gloves. Thank you. Oh, and we have ourselves a tasty treasure chest. Sweet, sweet gold and some new items. Nope. But this one we will use, however. And we got ourselves a really blue tunic. Yes, we do require more wrath. One of the touches that I really like in the Darkening of Tristam event is that they've actually done a little bit of working on the layout, like the mana orb and the health orb. So it's not 100% as it used to be in the old games, but it's definitely in the same sort of artistic style, I would say. A little bit more bare bones, maybe. Yeah, that bare bone-ish, I would say, and it really suits the style they're going for in this special event, in my opinion. So I really like that they went that extra yard or mile, maybe even a mile. Yeah, they went some extra space to get things sorted, and I appreciate that. And I hope that like even players that have only been through Diablo 3 can appreciate what they've been trying to do here, because like a lot of gamers that were there when the first game arrived will probably feel like a soft spot for this special event, but I hope that even people who weren't there will still appreciate how well done it is. Like, you can tell that they've spent both time and effort to make this just right. And also, one thing I read fairly recent was that this won't be just a one-off, as I thought to begin with, but it will be an event which will run throughout every January, I think. So for as long as Diablo 3 will be around, this event will also be available once a year. And this door and the other one that we passed will, in all probability, lead to our first boss, the Butcher, which I absolutely feared when I played through the original game. And we will see if we can... No, we use all the good stuff, and yeah, let's do this. Oh, I know. You big on the flesh. Big on the flesh. Jab, jab. Luckily, he's a poor aimer. Because if that slice hit home, it's a fair bit of damage. How dare you? Awesome! He got so worked up that he basically burned to death. And will have his cleaver, yes please. And it is worse than the weapon that we have. All the same, we'll keep it. It's a cool little item to carry around. He's actually glowing even though he's dead. Huh, he had a lot of energy going, so maybe that's what's pouring out of him. And this room is also like in the same art style as the original room that you ran into in the first game. It was also like a smaller space filled with bodies, even though it was filled with only villagers' bodies. This time there's a lot of dead cultists, which may or may not make as much sense, seeing as the cultist should have been on his side. But he's a madman, I was about to say, but a mad butchering demon, so maybe he just kills everything that comes into his room. He did have a massive old cleaver, so maybe he just wants to use it as often as possible. All the same, his days of killing are done and dusted, thanks to this nifty little crusader. Oh, and one thing that they haven't done in the old style is the town portals and identification scrolls, which are readily available at all times. But this I don't really mind that much, because keeping a bunch of scrolls isn't actually that hard. It just takes up valuable game time, I would say. So that's one of the modern touches that I don't personally mind at all. Doesn't really make the game easier, it just makes it a little bit smoother. And smooth is good. Well, usually good. We might as well open this door as well. Makes it easier to come and go as we please. And we will do as we please. Because we're a crusader. And we do holy work and such. And we smite barrels by the dozen. I really liked the church bell sounds that were available in the first game. It had such a gothic feel to it, which I've personally missed in the third game. As good as it was, to me, they never came close to capture the same dark gothic feel in the third game as they did in the first one. So this is, like, I wouldn't mind having this filter being there permanently to apply to the entire game. That would probably be quite an endeavor to get done, but I might even be willing to pay a little bit of money to be able to use that filter on top of everything else, because that would probably add like a totally different feel to the entire game. That would be a cool feature, I think. this the end of this level? Yes, I think it is. But we haven't discovered everything on this floor yet, so before we have done that, I will not venture forth. We might miss stuff, and we can't have that now, can we? No, we cannot. Exactly. Sorry for breaking that statue, that was not my intention. But you know, it happened. And the only thing you can do about it is to be upfront and honest. Yes, I broke the precious statue, and I'm sorry. So very sorry. Wonder if there's any specific reason why characters in Diablo don't open doors, but they feel the need to bash through them. Have they, in some point earlier in life, been mistreated by a sturdy wooden door? Or are they just, like, special that way? I fear we'll never get that answer either. So far I have come up with more questions than I have answers, and I'm sorry for that. Ah, that was a decent shield bash. And it looks like we can continue straight ahead here. Oh, they actually opened the door. So it's just some doors that we hate. Unfriendly doors will get it, is probably the message here. Let's venture forth and cleanse the bookshelves of all their money. Oh, I see some barrels, and we need them. We need them bad. Well, badly enough anyway. Shield bash time! No, somehow we just bounced off of those barrels. Maybe they just didn't feel like dying. And if I were a barrel, I would understand that. Barrels are people too. Well. Oh! Broken head bang shields. We have our second little mini-boss. And unfortunately he couldn't stay that long, but he made an effort, and that's what counts. Had enough! And yes, they've had enough because they're dead now. Is he hiding inside the rubble? What a peculiar fellow. Ambushed. He tried to stab us in the back. He's dishonorable, is what he is. King Leoric's tomb. So we have our second big boss coming up. And first time I ran into King Leoric, I was terrified because it was a special level and he was out to get us. Ooh, yeah, well, this is slightly better, and we now have some boots as well. Not bad. Do you have some tasty skills we can use? Roar. We'll use it. And we'll use that. Four seconds. Yeah, that's not that much though. So, my fine folks, that was the end of part 1 of our Let's Play of The Darkening of Tristram. And once more we have conquered the vile butcher and claimed his massive cleaver. We also ventured on to level 3 of the labyrinth, and we are about to go down and fight with King Leoric. And I remember that fight as being totally epic in the original game, so hopefully that applies to this special event as well. Also, I don't think I mentioned that at the beginning of this video, but seeing as I started afresh with a new character and default setting, this playthrough is done in normal. Hopefully this is something that you would want to do many times, so you can increase difficulty as you go along. All the same, I've had a great time, and I hope you fine folks have had a joyful time with me as well. And maybe we will see each other again in the next video. Until then, have the greatest of times and game your little souls away. Bye for now.